Welcome everyone to the biggest spectacle cubing has ever seen. 16 cubers from all around the world will battle for the title of the best cuber on Earth. Guys, be prepared to get your mind blown by the new generation of cubers in the Rubik's Cube World Championships 2025. Olaf Kuźmiński from Poland is gonna start things off because he qualified in the 16th position during semifinals. And as good as he is, quick spoiler, we're gonna see more people from Poland, as he starts things off with a 6.62. And he's going head to head against number 59 of the world, Kai-Wen Wang. And even though all of the solves you're gonna see today are ridiculously fast, the meta of cubing is so evolved that even a 6.8 isn't good anymore. So when Olaf starts off with a 6.6, he's not gonna be happy and he's gonna try to aim to get a sub 6 average. Which will be difficult if he now gets a 7.19, because the way averages work is that the worst and the best time of the average get taken out of the calculation, so you have the average of the middle 3 times. Kai-Wen shakes his head with a 6.17. So Olaf right now has to redeem himself because he already has a counting 6.62 and he's capable of doing so much more, which he shows right now with a 5.88. So we see a bunch of 5s and 6s, but guys, let me tell you, the averages will be full of 4s and even, spoiler, 3-second solves. Kai-Wen right now gets to last layer, not his best solve, and there was a major lockup, which we're taking a look at right now in slow motion, and I know it hurts. Guys, also keep in mind there's thousands of people watching, literally, because this is the biggest cubing event in history, and Olaf right now gets a 4.76. Guys, he has a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7. And as you'll see in a second, the last solve of the average is the most important. But Kai-Wen right here is already doing his solve. He's not having his best day because right now he messes up and he gets a 9.66. Now, because there's only one more solve left, you can calculate the worst possible average and the best possible average, which you can see on top right now, depending on the last time Olaf gets. And he gets a 5.7 and he's happy with that because that means he gets a 6.0 average. Just a hair away from getting sub 6 average. Kai-Wen, however, has a hard time controlling his nerves when he finishes off with a 7.9 average. So Olaf's leading right now with a 6.08 average. And as good as that average is, we're gonna discover later in the video that the kids nowadays are just ridiculously fast. But before we do that, we're gonna take a look at the legend Nahm from Korea, who could have been world champion in 2017 if his timer did a malfunction. And yes, I'm gonna keep reminding everyone because Nahm is a legend. And he's going against the guy that I'm vouching for this competition, Matty Hiroto Inaba. Even though he made number 13 in semifinals, he just got a 5.11 with some lockups at the end. But he seems to be happy with that. Back to Nahm starting off really strong with a 5.56. And guys, remember, the fastest and the slowest time get taken out of the calculation, so one good solve is not gonna cut it, and that 6.58 becomes dangerous. Matty starting off his second solve with some small catches, but he still manages to turn that into a solid solve with a 5.34. He's like, meh, I can deal with that. Back to Nahm, who's in the danger zone right now, and he's gonna make sure to not count that 6.58 second. He has one of the smoothest turning as he finishes off the solve with a 5.8. And to put these times into context, in 2023 Max Park won the World Championships with an average of 5.31 seconds, which shows that Matty is having a pretty solid average as he gets a 5.7. The impressive thing about Nahm is that he's still relevant after over 10 years of competitive cubing. Not only for a 3x3 because he's top of the world in bigger cubes as well, but unfortunately he's gonna count that 6.5 because he gets a high 7-second solve, and he's not gonna be happy with that as Matty starts his 4th solve with rapid turn speed and bam! 5.3, he knows he can do better, but he thinks to himself, I might actually be able to get podium with these times. But as we're looking at Nahm's best possible average and worst possible average, we'll notice that for him, unfortunately it's not gonna be possible to get a podium position, as he finishes off with a 6.33 average. But guys, look at that best possible average for Matty, 5.27, he just needs a solid performance right here. Unfortunately with the lockups, this is not gonna be his best time, but he's still happy with a 5.47 average, which easily gives him the lead over the rest of the pack. But will it be enough for podium? Well, let's find out. What's interesting about number 12 on the list right now, Alexey Tsvetkov from Russia, is that he is the first to use a different method than the CFOP method, namely the RU method. Try to notice in his solves that he's using the middle layer more often than the regular cubers. But looking at the first solve, RU didn't really show its potential, did it? On the 11th place we have Dylan Miller from the United States, and fun fact, he's currently using a cube that I gave him when he visited Belgium not so long ago, as he starts off with a solid 5.22 second solve. Dylan That's because of the cube I gave you. But back to Alexey, you have to show us, man. How good is the room method? On average, the room method is more optimal, but it's a bit more difficult to turn fast. As he gets a 6.34, he nods his head because this is accounting 6.3, and we've seen how fast the guys are. Like my boy Dylan right here, who's starting off really solid and gets bam, a 5.4. Even with the horrible last layer case, he's gonna be happy with that because this means he has a counting 5.4 seconds solve. Alexey right here can still redeem himself, but he just needs to show how fast the room method is, and bam, he does. Yep, 5.1. He can still get a good average, depending on the last two souls. And Dylan right here is starting off really fast, and he gets to last layer in 3 seconds, but it looks like either he made a mistake, either he just did an extra algorithm, but he 3-looked that last layer, and normally using the CFOP method, you only need 2 looks, so I don't know what went wrong, but maybe Alexey right now is gonna do something great. And unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. And this means he has a counting 6 and 7 seconds solve. And he knows the championships is over for him. For Dylan right here, it isn't over because you can have 1 bad time, as we've seen before. And you cannot have 2 bad times, Dylan. But maybe the 6.4 isn't too bad after all. With a counting 6.4, you can still get a decent average. Right now for Alexey, his best possible average is 6.2, and as we've seen before, that is not gonna cut it. He nods his head. 6.59 is not the average he had hoped for. Dylan's worst and best possible average vary a lot, so it all depends on his last solve. He's starting off pretty solid. Solid turning, really calm, 5.6, and he's gonna be happy with that. 5.8 average, yep. He's happy with that. Currently gives him the 2nd spot in the list, but it's not so likely that he's gonna stay there because there's so many good cubers we have to take a look at, like Neo right here from the Philippines, who actually became our new one-handed world champion the other day, as he starts off with a 6.27 solve. But look who we have right here, guys. It is Teodor Zajder from Poland, and let the fact that he's only 9 years old not deceive you because he's ridiculously fast, which he just shows with a casual 5.5 second solve. Now, a big reason why Neo became the one-handed world champion is because he also uses the room method, which is more optimal, which can lead to some really good performances, as he just showed to all of us. Now, not only is Teodor 6th in the world in 3x3, he has the world record 2x2 single with a 0.43 second solve. But this solve is gonna be 5.42 seconds slower than that. Now, if Neo could somehow manage to count that 5.2 second solve, he can have an amazing average, which he's gonna do. Look at that reaction. Teodor, however, has some work to do because he doesn't want to count that 5.8. He knows he's capable of so much more, but he made a slight mistake and he's gonna count the 5.8. It's not over yet, but it's gonna be difficult. Neo's 4th solve here is gonna be really important because he started off with a 6.2. He doesn't want to count that. Instead, he's gonna count a 6.24, which is not way better. Teodor here is gonna take his revenge. He's gonna show us all that he is little Teodor Zajder with a 5.09 seconds, filming the crowd who all love him very much. Neo has a guaranteed sub-6 average and a best possible average of 5.5, which is ridiculously good. Let's see if he can actually... Oh, he has a cube drop, which of course we're gonna take a look at in slow motion, and this is just awful. I'm so sorry, man. Teodor right here has the best possible average of 5.5, and this is also really good, so let's see if he can actually take it home. And he seems like he's gonna do it as he finishes off with his fastest solve, which puts him right behind Matty, Hiroto, Inaba, currently 2nd position. Neo, however, just out of the podium. But look how we have right here. Qixian saw, guys, I'm not Chinese, but she shocked the world by getting podium position in the very first round. However, unfortunately, she's not gonna start off the finals in the best way with a 7.00. But now we have Russian's prodigy, Timofei Tarasenko. What stands out to me the most about him is, first of all, he's ridiculously fast, and second of all, he has a really unique turning style. Now, isn't it crazy that Qixian wasn't even cubing 2 years ago at the last World Championships, and right now she's using the most complex ZB method with hundreds and hundreds of algorithms and getting 5-second solves like it is nothing, like no reaction. If this doesn't make her happy, what is she capable of? And I do know that Timofei is capable of a sub 4-second solve because he has done it before with a 3.7. And just as I'm saying that, he gets a 4.28 second solve, the closest we've been to a sub 4 solve. And guys, we're gonna see quite a few of them today. But Qixian right here is locking up a bit, resulting in a solve that is not good for her, I suppose. I have no idea what she's capable of yet. But we do know that Timofei is capable of a lot, as he just got a 4.2 second solve. And he gets a 5.5, but he seems to not be happy with that. Now guys, isn't it ridiculous to be just 7 years old and having the female world record both single and average? She gets to last layer in just 3 seconds and gets a 4.4. Yes, we do see a reaction over there. So it seems like a low 4-second solve is what it takes to make her happy. And I know for sure that a low 4-second solve would make Timofei so happy, because that means it is a counting 4-second solve. He's locking up just a bit. We're gonna have to take a look at that in slow motion. I'm sorry, Timofei. Here you can see he got to PLL the last step at just 3.2 seconds. And he was gonna get a sub 5-second solve, but the last few turns he locks up, and this might actually cost him quite a lot of time, maybe even more than half a second. Now for Qixian, we have a guaranteed sub 6 average, which is crazy, but look at that best possible average of 5.0. A low 5 like that would almost guarantee a podium position, but she's getting a mid 5-second solve, a 5.4 second average. Now I cannot wait to see what she will be capable of in 2 years for the next World Championships. But Qixian, you did an amazing job. You should be proud of yourself. And you know, should also be proud of himself? Timofei right here is gonna end it off with a low 5-second solve and a 5.6 average. Qixian actually manages to beat Matty and is currently at number 1, and who knows, that might be good enough for a podium position if Griesser right here, number 6, doesn't take it from her, as he's starting off pretty choppy with a time of 6.4, and he's going against another Luke G from the United States, Luke Garrett. Now not only is he 8th in the world with a 4.94 average, if you're looking at the sum of all the events the WCA has, Luke Garrett is the best in the world, but he has to do better than this to prove that he's also best in the world at 3x3. But he notices something on his finger. Is he bleeding? Now Luke Griesser right here started off the championships with a 7-second average, then got a 6-second average, then got a 5-second average, so who knows, maybe he's getting a 4-second average right here. Now other Luke right here is debating on putting on a band-aid, but he's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that because that might obstruct your turning. This is such a tough position to be in during the finals. How did that even happen? But it doesn't matter right now because he gets a 4.6 and no reaction. He's too worried about whatever happened to his finger. Now to Mr. Mountain Dew, starting off with a 6 and a 5. Pretty sure he's aiming to get at least a sub 6 average, which at this rate he will be able to get as he counts a 5.94 second solve, as he continues to listen to some Mozart, maybe? I don't know. Now Luke is struggling right here. He's trying to put on a band-aid, but he noticed that he's actually like obstructing his turning, so he's not gonna do that. But hopefully he's still able to perform just like his last solve, because just imagine if he counts a 4.6, pretty solid turning, a 5.8, no reaction whatsoever, because it seems like the only thing on his mind right now is his finger. But the only thing on Luke's mind right now is Mountain Dew and Mozart, and perhaps getting a good solve, because he's starting off pretty consistently, a low 6, 2 5s, and another 5. He's happy about that because I think this guarantees a sub 6 average, maybe. He's gonna be close though. But other Luke right here has to be careful, because don't forget he started off with a 10-second solve. You don't want to count that. He's having some lockups and a 6.0. A good solve, but he's nodding his head. He's not happy. This is not his best day. Ooh, and look at that, guys. I was wrong. Actually, his worst possible average is a 6.05. Best possible average is a 5.7. So it all depends on this solve right here. Got to last layer pretty fast. Some sloppy turning. A 6.7. He's not happy, but hey, look at that. He is happy, actually. Another Luke right here is a best possible average of 5.5. Worst, however, 7.4. So this last solve is going to be crucial, as he has a bit of sloppy turning right here. 6.27. He's not going to be happy with that. A 6.05. But look at that, guys. Both Luke G's 6.05. They're sharing the spot. But you know who doesn't want to share a spot? The current world champion Max Spark, currently the fastest American alive, 6th in the world, and his best time 3.13, one of the previous world records. So let's see, as a defending champion, how he's gonna start off. And he starts off with a 6.07, not the best time, but nothing is decided with the first solve. Moving on to Tymon Kolasiński, first in Poland, 4.67 PR, average 4th in the world, and he's gonna start off so fast with a 4.61. Tymon is definitely one of the favorites to podium or even win these championships. Back to Max Spark. Starting off with a 6 means that the second solve has to be better, because a 6-second solve is just not gonna cut it in a championships as competitive as this one, but a 5.2 might actually do the job. So right now we've already seen a fair amount of 4-second solves, but no one, however, has yet counted a 4-second solve, and I think Tymon right here is gonna change that with a 4.89. This is a counting solve. This is such a good start for the Polish favorite Tymon Kolasiński. Max Spark right here has a 5.21. If he can count that one, there's still a chance for him to get high on the list or even podium. And who knows, even defend his title as he gets to PLL at 4.8, and that ends up with a 5.9 second solve. This is not good enough. This is a counting 5.9. This is going to be really difficult for the defending champion. Tymon Kolasiński right here already has a counting 4-second solve, and if we know one thing, Tymon is really good under pressure as he gets a 5.3. This is a low 5-second solve. This is so good. Such a good start for our European champion. Our world champion, however, has to do something amazing if he still wants to have a shot at winning or even podium this championships. He gets a 6.05. This is actually not going to be good enough for him. Max Spark already became 6x6 and 7x7 world champion, but it seems like 3x3 is not going to be his this year. Tymon, however, has an amazing start so far, and his next 2 souls are gonna decide if he's gonna be the winner. And he starts off really solid, gets to ZB at 3 seconds, and bam! A 4.74, that's amazing! 2 counting sub 5 souls! This must be such a relief for him. It's already a guaranteed podium as he has the faster, worst possible average than any of the averages we've seen today. Max, however, seems to be struggling quite a bit because his best possible average is a 5.72. And as we've seen before, because of all of the fast people that this generation has, he's not gonna cut it as he ends with a 5.8. But regardless of that, we're still so proud of Max Spark, especially for the bigger events where he became world champion. But this is the 3x3 world championships, and look at Tymon. His worst possible average is already a sub 5, but let's see if he can improve it even more. But it's not gonna happen today. Still a sub 5 average in the finals. Tymon, we're so proud of you. We know we worked so hard, and look at that. Max coming, giving a hug. This is like so wholesome. So Tymon currently leading the pack with a sub 5 average, but guys, the top 2 is just on another level as we start off with Xuanyi Geng, second in the world, second in China. Look at that, he has a 3.05 personal best, and that is the current world record. Xuanyi has the world record, so let's see how we can start off this finals. As he picks up the cube, look at that turning, his small hands mastering the cube like that, small lockups, the ZB method, and a 4.94, just staring at the crowd like this is nothing. And he's going against the top favorite of today. He has a whopping 74 of the 100 best averages ever, which is just insane. He is Yes, he is Yiheng Wang. He's first in the world with a 3.91 PR average. That is a sub 4 average. We haven't seen a sub 4 soul so far. So let's see how Yiheng can start off. And he actually didn't start off well with a 5.45. This is not good for him. If Xuanyi right here actually manages to lock in and get a good solve right here, he can take advantage of that. Because a 5-second solve for these guys just isn't good. They all have averages that are sub 5 and ideally even a low 4-second average. Like last round where Xuanyi got a 4.8 second average and he gets a 4.3 right here. And what is that? He's nodding no. This is not good. What is this? What is this? Is he even human? What is this? He gets a 4.3 and nods his head? Yiheng, you're in trouble, my guy. You're in trouble. He gets a 4.3. He has a counting sub 5. And you have a 5.4. What are you gonna do about that? You have to solve fast. And you're This is what he's gonna do. He's gonna get a sub 4. A 3.8 second solve, and he needs it. He needs it against someone who just has no emotions, who's just here to cube and to do it at the highest level. Because even though Yiheng is the faster cuber out there, Xuanyi is the guy to beat him. He has done it before and he gets a 4.2. Boy has a 4.2 and just stares at the crowd. Look at him staring. This is scary. Bruh, Yiheng. Yiheng, you're in trouble. Please do something about this. Accounting 4.3, but nothing is lost. You just had one bad time. A 3.8. If you do not mess up, you still got it, my boy. And he's not gonna mess up because he gets a 4.3 and this is counting. This is so close. as he notices something. He's pointing at the crowd. He's saying, "Stop this." Whatever that was. Xuanyi technically is ahead because his counting time is 100ths of a second faster than Yiheng's. But before I continue, the reason I was able to fly to Seattle and film this for you is because of thecubicle.com. Not only did they sponsor this very competition, but they also sponsor my channel. So if you're interested in getting yourself a speed cube, go to thecubicle.com and use discount code CUBEHEAD for a huge discount. Link in the description. The solve right here might be the most important solve of the finals, as he gets a 3.95. This means both 4.3 and 4.2 are counting, and he just looks at the crowd. He does it again. What type of movie is this? Just as we thought it would be easier for Yiheng, this happens. No flash? No flash, my guys, no flash. What will Yiheng do right now? If he messes up once, it's over, so he cannot mess up. Yiheng super fast solve and then 3.94! He beats Xuanyi by 100 of a second! I cannot believe what's happening right now. Their counting solves are almost exactly the same. It all comes down to the final solve, a best possible average of 4.1. What does Xuanyi do? And he gets the worst solve of his average, a 4.49 average. Still insanely good. And it will be so difficult for Yiheng to calm his nerves, knowing that everything comes down to this single solve. Anything can still happen. His best possible average, an insane 4.0, but his worst possible average is not gonna beat Xuanyi. He needs to have a 5.3 or faster to win. Will Yiheng be able to do it? Will Yiheng become the world champion? But let's find out. Insane turning, insane execution as he finishes with a 4.43, and has he done it? After getting second 2 years ago, he has done it. Yiheng Wang is your new world champion with Xuanyi second, Tymon Kolasiński third, and here he is. Here is the 11-year-old Yiheng Wang, your world champion of today. It's been an honor to be your presenter, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, guys. Psych, I'm the world champion, lol.